Texas keep grinding. This season has not gone the way the Royals envisioned, and the losses have been painful. The world champions are just that, the champs. And although the results are not there, the effort has never been questioned. The Royals will continue to play hard and battle until the final out. In a season of struggle, you continue to fight. That's what a champion does. It's a hot Sunday afternoon in Arlington, Texas for the final game of the series between the Royals and the Texas Rangers. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Hi, everybody. Steve Physioc, Rex Hudler with you. The world champs are in fourth place, and they have struggled mightily in the month of July, going 7-18. But in every dark cloud, there is a silver lining, and it brings you promise, particularly when that silver lining is filled with rookies like Cheslor Cuthbert and Raul Mondesi.
Times like this is what you draw from, the positives. And there are many out there if you're looking for them. But also, there's same as negatives, but we haven't seen any from this guy here. Cheslor Cuthbert has been fantastic. He's been showing his skills on both sides of the ball. But what's impressive, to be a big leaguer, you got to be able to do both. You got to be able to field and you got to be able to hit. But the hitting has been impressive. He's showing a high baseball IQ with both sides of the ball. Batting average, extra base hits, and his slugging has been off the charts.
And that's why he's our Toyota League leader, 352 in the month of July. 13 runs batted in this month as well. And of course, there is the young man who just turned 21 earlier this week. That is Raul Mondesi, and he's one of the dynamic young shortstops in the game.
And we've already seen some of his fruit early. This guy's got great hands. He's a defensive whiz. He also has a fine knack for the small things, the small ball. He can bunt. You know, he's a switch hitter. He's going to add a lot of energy, and he already has, but it's been fun to see him hit now in 4 straight games, finding the holes, getting the salvy splash and all. This kid is exactly what they built him as, their top prospect.
Mondesi will be at second base this afternoon, and Dylan G will be on the mound for the Kansas City Royals. Lucas Harrell will make his first start for Texas. And of course, in the month of July, the Royals averaging less than 3.5 runs per game. They hope to bring those bats off the ice and get some offense going here in Arlington. That's next. Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery on a very hot Sunday afternoon. 97 degrees here in the Lone Star State. Alcides Escobar will lead things off, then Cheslor Cuthbert, followed by Hosmer, Morales, and Alex Gordon. Paulo Orlando has had a good month of July. Salvador Perez given today off, and Escobar swings at the first pitch and fouls it off, strike one.
Lucas Harrell not messing around, getting his warm-up pitches in there. He's a little bit anxious to show his new club what he's got.
His Rangers debut today. Acquired in a trade from the Atlanta Braves on Wednesday, along with Dario Alvarez, a relief pitcher we saw last night. July 26th, last start at Minnesota. It was very good. Shutout baseball in 6 innings.
Escobar didn't need that. You never need that, especially your first time up. Harold's got some pitches that move. He's got the basic 4 pitches, but this one here, Esky trying to pull it and just pulled it right into his shin. I mean, he's going to have to take a walk around the batting circle for that.
What all will Lucas Harrell throw today, Hud?
He's got fastball. He'll cut the fastball, curveball, changeup. He's not so much of a big slider pitcher, but he's going to use his fastball curveball combination, and he'll throw changeups later after the first time through.
Harrell, a guy who started the year at AAA with the Detroit organization, then moved to Atlanta. 5-2, a 3.06 ERA in the minor leagues.
His fastball's going to average at 92. You might see him 90 to 94 at times today, but he's going to be in the low 90s.
Young man from Springfield, Missouri, who grew up a Chiefs and Royals fan.
Likes to sink that fastball. A couple variations off of it, cutter being one of them.
Now a 3-2 count, and that has been a problem throughout his career. I mean, he led the American League in walks in 2013 with 88 in only 153 2/3 innings. Escobar pops it up, foul territory. Moreland over near the Texas dugout. He makes the catch, 1 out.
The Rangers defense. Jurickson Profar, 5th start at shortstop this season. His name has been mentioned more than any other players out there for a trade, especially Chris Sale. But the Rangers were reluctant to give up this talented athlete. He hits from both sides of the plate and can play anywhere on the diamond for you. Good speed.
Yeah, their minor league system is deep with middle infielders. Cuthbert hitting .352 in the month of July. Just 2 points shy of .300 batting average. Got something in that right eye, so he calls timeout.
Maybe a little drip of sweat, sunscreen. Nothing worse. And that's how that sunscreen stings when it gets in there. Wristbands important on days like today when it's so hot. And have some way to wipe the perspiration away.
Yeah, neither team hit on the field. Both did their hitting preparations in the cages. There's a line drive to Profar. Takes it on a short hop, and there's 2 out.
Crushed it. Hit it hard. Stayed right on it. Profar, right place, right time. Looked like he caught it on the fly, but he didn't. Stayed with it, tapped his glove to get his feet in line.
Now Eric Hosmer trying to break a funk that he's been in since the All-Star break, where he was named the MVP of the All-Star game in the American League victory. which is 9 for 55 since. That has seen his batting average tumble to 280.
Just not being able to pick up the ball and really pulling heavy off of it. Today he's back to his leg kick again. Now there's a little two-strike approach. Sometimes he's going to lift that leg up. He did it on the first pitch, and now he's not. Maybe he's able to catch himself.
3-2.
Two-seam fastball away from him.
Down the left field line, and it will curl, and it is a home run. How about that? Just did get inside that foul pole. And Hosmer, going to the opposite field for his 15th home run of the year, gives Kansas City a 1-0 lead.
He'll take it. And on contact, he took off out of the box, and then he slowed down as he was watching this ball. Looked like it was slicing and wasn't sure if it had the distance or not, but he was quick enough on it to keep it fair. Ball didn't slice. He hit it on the line. He'll take it. Good start.
Yeah, I was watching the third base umpire, Chris Conroy. He was the guy who had to make the call, and Chris waited a long time before signaling home run. Now Morales with a shot to left, and backing up is Ryan Ruitt at the wall, pulls it down. Hosmer goes deep. The Royals take the early 1-0 lead.
Oh yeah, that's the Hosmer looking at. Can't control that front foot every time. He might be like Babe Ruth.
His 2 home runs have been to the opposite field. Good sign.
That's right. He's thinking that way, but that little toe tap, and he's just going up on his toe like that's really helping him. Hope he continues to do that.
Andrus out. Profar hitting third today. Ian Desmond also given the day off, and he is their center fielder. And center fielder today will be Delino DeShields, and he is leading things off. Strike one. Dylan G hails from this area, went to the University of Texas at Arlington, and you see his numbers as a starter rather high. But this is only his 7th start of the year.
That's right, he's capable, and especially when you're pitching in your own backyard with your family and friends in the stands, you know, it's a little more added pressure. But not that every day you take that ball, there's not a little bit of pressure that goes along with it. But he's got 4 nice pitches. If he can execute those down and use that defense and not try to be too fine, he's hoping to get 6 innings in. 5 or 6.
DeShields with a single to center field. speed on for Nomar Mazara. When Dillon is on, he'll get a lot of ground outs, but last start against the Angels, 12 flyouts, only 2 ground outs, and consequently he gave up 5 runs in 5 innings.
Dave Island was saying, hey, the tempo is going to be important today, you know, with your fielders and it being 100 degrees out there. It'd be important for him to get that ball and throw it and keep the ball down. Just utilize that defense, try to keep it out of the air if at all possible.
Mazara with a .316 average his last 10 games to lift that average to .281. He's been one of the American League's best rookies this year. 101 hits. Shields does not go, and Mazara swings and misses, and the count moves G's way at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Texas comes into today's game in first place in the American League West. They've raised their difference over Houston to 5 games over the Astros. That ball struck well and gone.
Sometimes with that runner at first base, you know he's fast and you want to get that ball home quickly. It distracts you a little bit and you just throw that fastball in there, and Mazara was waiting on it even though it was a curve. It wasn't even a fastball. It looked to me like it was a curve, but it was a hanger. Belt high. Short contact. Got the ball underneath it. Another homer by the Rangers. Now they've homered in every single game against the Royals this season.
It's 12 home runs against them. Dillon had a tough time in the first inning of that start against the Angels. He allowed a single, an RBI double, and a walk to lead the game off before retiring 3 of the next 4 batters to escape a bases loaded jam with just 1 run allowed. But a single, then a home run by Mazara. The Royals down 2-1.
You know, you could see just with Jerks and Profar playing against the Royals this year in just a few short games that we've played, how valuable this guy is. He's hit first, he's hit ninth, today he's hitting third. You know, he's played almost everywhere you can play him. He's just got extreme value. You love a guy like that.
Dillon throws out Profar for the first out. As we take a look at the Kubota power stats, Texas has been one of baseball's best power hitting teams this year with now 138 home runs, but they've hit at least 1 in all 7 games against Kansas City. 12 total now. And their pitching has done a nice job as well. Moreland, the story last night and also in game 1, as he hit an 8th inning home run to win the game on Thursday, and then last night a walk-off with 2 out off Brooks Pounders. Beltre pops it up. Haas in foul territory. 2 outs.
The second baseman, number 12,
We told you Dillon coming home. He went to Cleburne High School here in Texas. Excellent baseball and golf star there. And then he went to nearby UT Arlington, where he helped lead the Mavericks to the NCAA tournament in 2006. Bunt, and it's a beauty. No chance. That's his 8th bunt base hit this year. This is a guy who can do a little bit of everything. 21 home runs. And the number of bunt base hits he has.
Yeah, and you know, they weren't expecting this from him. You know, he's been swinging a hot bat, and his technique was perfect there. He drops a great bunt. You know, let him have the bunt. Guy like that hot, you know, you want him to swing away, but just let him have it. Royals defense sponsored by Ford. Drew Butera has done a great job in his 20th start this year. Not only has he thrown out 30% of runners, but he's been really good with the bat. 11 of his 20 hits this year have gone for extra base hits. Drew's doing a nice job.
And now the star of last night's 2-1 Texas win, Mitch Moreland. Walk-off home run in the 9th. He has been on fire of late. Last 5 games, 8 for 15. And against the Royals, pretty dominant. All 3 home runs in this series.
He's in a nice groove. He's got confidence to all fields, and he's able to recognize the ones that he can pull out of the ballpark, like the one last night. The other 2 that he hit in the series, he stayed inside the ball and went to left field. And didn't necessarily need to pull those, but they were middle away, the pitches. He hit them, he went with them nicely.
Dillon fights back to even the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Moreland was coming along right after they gave up on Chris Davis, the big power hitting first baseman that now is a rock star with the Orioles. They knew that they had another guy to replace him. Moreland's done a nice job. Not here, though.
Well, he gets a swing and a miss for strike 3, but Nomar Mazara belts the home run into the seats in right. 2-1 Texas. Royals baseball is brought to you by Chrysler and the all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica. Man, You've got to be awfully big appetite to eat what they were cooking there, Hud.
Yeah, that's Mongolian barbecue style.
That wasn't a foot long. That was like a yard long.
Looks good to me.
You're always hungry.
That's right. Look at that.
Those onions.
Yeah, stir it up. That's right.
Top of the second inning, Alex Gordon will lead things off. Alex, 205 hitter, 7 home runs. And Alex, one of 4 key Royals who have a batting average under 200 since the All-Star break. That ball roped to right field for a base hit, so a good start in inning number 2.
Alex short, compact. They try to get him in like they've been doing most of the season, but he beats him. Got it up over his head. That's a good thing. I'd like to see him put one in the seats.
Orlando with a good bunt. They just do get him at first, but he does advance Alex to second base.
Yeah, very nice attempt there. Almost got the base hit.
Batting seventh, the catcher, number 9, Drew Butera.
See it, you can see it. That ball just stayed up. That's a nice pitch to bunt. It's up. Would have been a nice pitch to hit out of the yard, but I think he already had it set that he was going to try Hanser Alberto, the third baseman today, as Beltre's the designated hitter.
So now the tying run in scoring position. Drew Butera in there, giving Salvi his second day off on this road trip to Texas. Salvi had flu-like symptoms. That's why he did not play on Thursday in Texas's 3-2 win. Through a solid season, 20 hits and 11 of them have been extra base hits.
He knows what kind of hitter he is. I like the fact he chokes up on that bat, gives him some good balance, and he shortens up his swing, and you just trying to put the ball in play. I mean, he's been finding some gaps this year, which has been good for him for extra bases. He's got that middle of the field mental approach, which really helps you, especially when you're not playing that often. It's hard for timing.
Royals really tough time in the clutch in this series, just 1 for 22. They've lost 3-2, 8-3, and 2-1, falling 11 games back of first place Cleveland. Alex is going. There's the throw to third. Not in time. A steal for Gordo.
That's right. Good job, Alex. Way to take advantage of that good jump you got. Odor, the second baseman, didn't believe Alex would steal, so he backed off of him. Alex took one peek to his left, and he took off before Harold even started throwing it. Look at that, an excellent jump. Chirinos had no chance. You can get a much bigger lead. It's from second base and stealing third. It's so much easier. And so many times it's a bang bang play, but when you can get that extra jump, that extra step, it gives you a higher percentage to make it.
Okay, now man at third base, pretty good speed there. Infield drawn in. What do you want to see Drew Butera do?
Right back up the middle. Just play pepper with it. Stay short with it. Hit it right back where it comes from. Good try.
It goes to second. They don't have the contact play on, and Odor will throw out Butera.
Yeah, look, you took a shot at it. Sometimes you're going to hit it, sometimes you're not. Contact play, you know, you're going to run right into the out, but sometimes, you know, managers want that contact play on with the infield in, and that means the third base runner is coming on down on his right foot. When the ball crosses the plate on contact, he busts it in.
Now Dyson with 15 RBIs. He had a go-ahead triple on Wednesday against the Angels. Check swing. Did not go.
Gerard has multiple ways of getting him in, even with 2 outs. He can top the ball, a chopper. You know, he could take one with him to first base, or he can get a clean knock. He's got, when you have that kind of speed, it opens up the avenues for you. The opportunities are greater. You know, any kind of little bunt right here would be nice. You know, even a high chopper.
Back up the middle, but fielded by Harrell. Underhands to first. The Royals denied of tying this game in the second.
Trail here in Arlington. Have had a lot of injury news lately. Joel Goldberg back at Globe Life Park in our University of Kansas Hospital injury report. The latest update on Wade Davis, and the news, while the timing might not be great, certainly better than it could have been. Grade 1 flexor strain. He went back yesterday and got checked out this morning. It's basically the same thing that he had when he went on the DL last time. Talking to head trainer Nick Kenny, he told me that he'll be shut down from throwing to promote reduction in inflammation and healing. And the bunt is going to be good there. So the Rangers getting something going again, but guys, the length of shutdown has not been determined yet, but the Royals fully expect him to pitch again this year, and he will continue to be checked out periodically. So far from worst case scenario, good news that they do expect him to pitch again this year.
That is great news. As a matter of fact, anytime you're dealing with that flexor area, you're a little worried, and Wade Davis, so important to the success of the ball club in 14 and 15, getting to the World Series, is excellent in postseason, incredible. And here is Chirinos, 2 for his last 19. Gee, needs that sinking fastball down, and there might be it. They've got 1 and they've got 2.
There you go. Ruo with a nice bunt, and quickly Chirinos just says, all right, I'll give it right back to you. Dillon, he almost bobbled, recovered, good throw over to Mondesi.
When Dillon was really good with the New York Mets, winning 13 games in 11 and 12 more in 2013, boy, he had one of the better sinkers on that Mets staff. Trying to be more consistent with this year, but he needs more consistency in that rotation to get that comfort rhythm down.
It's all about the timing and confidence that you mentioned, but you know, he's got 4 pitches. I think his tempo's been good today, and he's trying to hit that lower part of the zone. He made that one mistake. He hung that curveball to Mazar, and young rookie, didn't look like a rookie. He looks like he's a polished veteran the way he hits.
And that was on a 1-2 count. Opponents have had their way with Dillon on the first 2 pitches of an at-bat. Hitting over 500 in the first 2 pitches, but after that, G is a tough guy to figure out because he has 4 quality pitches, and opponents after the 3rd pitch, 3rd or more, they're only hitting 219. This should do it. Mondesi gobbles it up, throws out Alberto. Good job in the 2nd inning by Dillon Gee. Two to one, Texas has the lead. A couple of home runs in this game, one by Eric Hosmer, the other by Nomar Mazara. Mazara had a man on when he went deep, and here is Raul Mondesi, a 4-game hit streak.
It's always fun to watch this young man. The opportunity comes to hit that first big league homer. It's a good place to hit it here at Arlington. It's a launching pad to pull. Almost got it through there.
And he did. Glanced off the glove of Moreland, and Raul will stop at first base.
Yeah, that'll be a knock.
You would think, Hud, because Mondesi was racing down that first base line, and I don't think Harold beats him to the bag.
No, and that's not Moreland's ball. The second baseman has that with no problem. Odor played that into a single. He'll take it. See that? If he just goes to the bag, Odor gets that. Odor's got really good range, and that comes with communication before the ball is even thrown. Left-handed hitter gets up there.
And they have charged Texas with an error. E3.
Oh, well, that's debatable.
Mondesi, excellent speed, has a stolen base. He had 5 down at AAA in a very short stint there before called up. This is a good combination to hit and run if the Royals choose to do that. But foul.
With Adrian Beltre out of that lineup now, the Royals trying to pick on Hanser Alberto, third baseman today. Young player, utility type guy, has played some second, some short so far up here in the big leagues. Called him up from Round Rock.
Out of play. Thought he made a really nice play on Paulo Orlando's sacrifice bunt. Orlando was bunting for a hit, but he had to come in quickly, and he just got Paulo by a half step. So he is fine defensively. Pulled to third. That could be 2, 5, 4, and a 3 double play.
Support local KC Arts and join the Royals for Arts Day at the K. Come enjoy pregame festivities in the outfield experience as the Royals showcase various facets of the local art scene next Sunday prior to the Royals versus the Blue Jays game. Each Arts Day at the K theme ticket provides a $5 donation to the Arts KC Fund. Visit Royals.com/theme tickets for more information.
Here is Cheslor Cuthbert. Hit the ball in the screws first time up, but nice one-hop pick by shortstop Profar. Threw out Cheslor.
The Rangers played good defense. They've pitched extremely well against the Royals this year. Even though the Royals' offense is not hitting, but you still got to credit the pitching to get the job done.
Well, Texas certainly does not have one of the better pitching staffs in the game with an ERA of 4.37. But the Royals have scored just 2.3 runs per game against them in their 6 games, and consequently have lost 5 of those. Good rip by Cuthbert. Fouled off. Full count. There's ball 4. And here comes the guy with our Dodge drive of the game down that left field line.
Almost was like a surprise to him. Haas hit this ball and he got he got a good piece of it. But with the wind usually pushing that ball towards the line, he wasn't sure if it was going to stay foul, and it hit right off of that fair pole. At the base of it.
And you talked about that early in the count. He was at that 2-strike approach with 1 strike.
He went back up on that toe again there. That's good. He's able to stay balanced and controlled.
So strong. Now 58 RBIs to lead the club.
This is such a fine line when a hitter's struggling. When you're not going good, you don't have confidence, so you're trying too hard, and that's just, it's easy to fall into that because you're doing a lot of failing in this game of baseball. But you just want to hit, you want to pull your way out of it, and Haas has never been a great pull hitter. Now he can pull off-speed pitches, but that's not his strength. And when he was loading up with that leg kick, it was just too much. It was too fast, and he was coming down, was pulling everything off towards the first base line, and his head was pulling, and just wasn't having the success that he has when he's quiet with his lower half. See that he's not swinging at some bad pitches. It's not distracting him. Okay, this is Friday night. Watch that foot. See that? He just goes right up on the top toe. Doesn't do anything. It doesn't pull it. His head stays extremely still. Now today, look at that. Same thing. He's not loading. He's not pulling that leg all the way up to his waist. So this is a good adjustment for him in order to have success. Kind of felt sorry for Ned a little bit today. I mean, we all understand the great success this organization has had the last couple of days, but after the media left out of his office, Ryan and I were in there and sitting there, and he just looked helpless. He's like, if we don't hit, we have no chance. And our guy Hosmer and Perez, if those 2 guys don't hit, those are the guys who usually drive the bus. We're in trouble. We got to get some more offensive production from these guys and somebody else. Cheslor's done a good job. Ooh, watch out. I think he got a piece of that though. But actually, it broke his bat. It looked like he just let go of it. But look at that. All he's got is that little handle.
It's some kind of strength when you can
That was kind of
break
weird.
a bat.
It looked like he just threw the whole bat back there. Breaking ball. Wow.
That is
He
weird.
just hit the top of it. You know, either that's some incredible bat speed or some tremendous strength or a weak bat. But look at that thing. That bat head just snapped right off at the handle. That's pretty weird.
Well, he's got a new piece of lumber. Maybe this one works. Nope. Swing and a miss. Harrell gets his first strikeout of the afternoon. And here's our greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. And Cleveland leading 8-0, and they got better. They are going for it. Andrew Miller picked up from the New York Yankees for 4 prospects. Jonathan Lucroy, because of the injury to Yan Gomes, he vetoes the trade to the Indians per no trade list. How about that?
Yeah, that hurts the Cleveland Indians.
But getting Andrew Miller, that will beef up that bullpen.
Well, sure it will. That's not just a guy. He's one of the best relievers there is in baseball, and they need some help. I mean, even if you're strong in that department, when you add a pitcher like him, it's always a welcome commodity. But now that catching spot with Yan Gomes being out with his shoulder injury, they signed him for 3 or 4 more years, and then now Lucroy, they make a trade for him, and they already have Yan Gomes. I think Lucroy wanted to redo his deal. I think that's the whole thing that happened. He wanted to redo the deal, and Cleveland said, no, not so fast. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, but I still go back to Rex. He can do that his next contract, but you would go from a loser to a winner with Cleveland, you know, really pulling away in the American League Central, 4.5 games up on Detroit. And Lucroy could have been just the guy they needed. And how many opportunities do you get to win a world championship?
Well, right, but how many opportunities do you get to be in this business that where you're healthy one year and maybe you're not the next year? You're a catcher, you could get hurt. I mean, he wants to take care of his family too, so there's more to it than just that.
Dyson has room and makes the catch. And Delino DeShields is the first man out. Well, I guess you have that opportunity, but Ben Zobrist, he was picked up by the Royals last year, and boy, he had a great last 3 months, helped him to a world championship, and he said it was the greatest experience of his life. So important that Ben Zobrist named his 3rd child Royal.
Yeah,
Born out of the World Series.
It was a good situation for Zobrist, but maybe it's not for Lucroy. Totally different circumstances.
Here's Mazzara, the difference in the game with a 2-run home run on a 1-2 pitch from G back in the first. His 13th home run.
But you know, like the Royals, when they added Cueto and Zobrist, the rest of the league open their eyes and says, oh man, the Royals are pushing them all in. They're going for it. And that's sometimes what you need in a rare season where you think you have a chance to win that crown. They're hard to get. And when I woke up this morning and I saw that those acquisitions were made by Cleveland, I said, okay, it's their turn. They're pushing them all in. But that kind of is a little punch in the gut that Lucroy doesn't want to come there. I mean, he's the third best hitting catcher there is in baseball.
2 out.
Folks, cheer on longtime Royal Alex Gordon on Thursdays in his fan section, Gordo Nation. For only $35, you can get a seat in left field, a limited edition Charlie Hustle brand t-shirt, and an Alex Gordon big head. Join your fellow fans for this fun experience supporting Gordo. For tickets, go to royals.com/theme tickets.
We've got Husker night coming up on Saturday when Toronto's in town, and Alex, I'm sure, will have a lot of cheering going on in that one.
Remember that a couple years ago when he hit that game-winning homer, and then he told Joel Goldberg before the game that, well, Joel asked him, hey, look, if you do something big, will you give us a big red call? And he goes, okay. And then he happens to hit the homer, and then he goes, go Big Red. Place went crazy. It was good.
It was great.
It was fun. I hope we have some more red in the stands.
There is Jurickson Profar. Grounded back to the mound his first time up. Profar just 23 years old, out of Curacao. He was on a pretty good Curacao amateur league where he played second base because Andrelton Simmons was the shortstop on that team.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere with Simmons playing shortstop, man. That guy, they don't make hands like his.
No.
Feet either. Arm, he's got everything. Smarts. Angels are lucky that they consummated that deal with Houston before the season started. Basically just swap shortstops. Nice pitch there.
Sure was, and he ducks the outside corner for strike 3, second strikeout of the day since the home run. He's only allowed 2 base runners.
Yeah, that away.
He's got the sun hat going on.
I don't know how they do it. I mean, it's hot out there. A lot of these fans, they got here an hour before the game, just sitting in the stands, just baking in that sun.
Yeah, there has been some talk about building a new ballpark with a roof, get it air conditioned, fan with a fan. There's the ammonia water drenched rag over your head. Here's Kendrys Morales. And our key in the driver's seat about the Texas Rangers. Kendrys Morales has more RBIs against Texas than any other opponent. And you and I remember his first game, May 23rd, 2006, facing Vicente Padilla. Looked so calm, comfortable. First big league at bat, single. 2 at bats later, home run. We need a Kendrys bomb. Tie this game up. Works him away and a leadoff walk. Second base on balls issued by Lucas Harrell. And Lucas hails from Springfield, Missouri. He was the Chicago White Sox 4th-round pick in 2004 out of Ozark, Missouri High School. And they were the 3A state champions with Lucas as their top pitcher that year, going 10-1.
I'm happy for him. He's bounced around. He even pitched in the Korean League last season. You know, that's enough for an eye-opener right there. I mean, that's not the Japanese baseball is a lot nicer. That's like the major leagues of the Far East. Korean baseball, that's like AA, A-ball. And I never have played in that league before.
Oh, Gordon with a drive to right, but back goes Mazara, still going back and just in front of the State Farm sign. He makes the catch.
But when Harrell was over there last year, he was a more of a ground ball pitcher, and he learned how to throw the cut fastball. That's where he learned how to pick up that pitch. And now since then, this year with Atlanta and then now here in Texas, he's more of a fly ball pitcher with the cutter. Cutter's a ball that has more lateral movement on it instead of downward action. He was focusing on his 2-seamer there in Korea.
Yeah, he's played on 6 different teams the last 3 years. Houston, Arizona, the team you're talking about in Korea, Detroit, Atlanta, and Texas this year alone.
That's an eye-opener. I mean, we were provided an interpreter when I was in Japan, one for on the field and one for off the field whenever we wanted to go to the grocery store. But I'm not sure about the facilities there in Korea and how many interpreters he had. I hadn't had a chance to talk to him yet. But
so did your interpreter understand you?
Oh yeah, they understand. The interpreters understand both languages.
I'm saying, did he speak HUD though?
No, it took him a while.
That's not English.
Took him a while to understand that. You know, I was all American coming there, man. I wanted to play their game. I wanted to learn their style of ball. I appreciated the paycheck they were giving me and my family, so I was sold in. All in. Get in there.
Oh man,
look at that. Good fielding.
Second double play. I'm not sure how you say shock the house or shake yourself in Japanese, but Paulo Orlando wanted to get this up the middle and past Harrell. Could not.
I don't either, but that's just buzzard luck.
play. Texas with a 2-1 lead. It's time for our sprint trivia question. It's about defense, I am told. Name the 4 players with more American League Gold Gloves than Adrian Beltre's 4 at third base. Well, one is an obvious one, a great player for the Baltimore Orioles. And there is a pitch inside from Dylan G for ball 1. Down that left field line. And Hud, while you were getting a slice of pizza, the sprint trivia question was, name the American League third basemen who have more Gold Gloves than Adrian Beltre's 4.
In the history?
Yeah.
Mike Schmidt.
No, American League.
Oh. One time, I don't eat any lunch or anything. I go up and get me a slice of pizza and I miss our question.
I just gave it to you. There's a ground ball deep in the hole. That's a base hit for Beltre. And he is now tied with the great Babe Ruth for 43rd all time with his 2,873rd hit.
It's a pretty impressive name as he keeps climbing the list. Escobar did all he could to rob it. Stayed on top of the ball. Tie the Babe.
Odor reached on a bunt base hit first time up. Takes low and in. He has his batting average up to 280 again. Started the day at 279 before dropping that bunt base hit perfectly down the third base line. 10 hits in 23 at bats against Kansas City this year and 4 home runs. Fouls that one off. Back our way. I have a hint for you, Hud. He used to manage the Royals.
Buddy Bell.
Okay. So we have 2 so far. Well, hit well, but well foul. I mean, that's going to be upper deck. Boy, he hit some moonshots with that slight uppercut. Powerful swing for a guy who's only 5 feet 10 inches tall.
Sure does. You know, a guy with 21 home runs when he bunted his first time up kind of surprised Cuthbert, but you know what? Just thank you for bunting. As hot as you are, not hitting one in the seats.
Here is our Miller preview. Later in the game, we'll really show you about what's going on today. And it's brought to you by Miller Lite. Enjoy a cold one. G has been able to get 4 ground ball outs, 2 more than he had in his last start against the Angels. Odor swings and foul tips it into the glove of Drew Butero. That is out number 1.
Good pitch there by G. Stayed away from him. God, that's exactly what you want to execute on that guy. Him, Moreland, those lefties have been hurting the Royals. You got to stay away from them. You know, in Pounders last night, he came in, you know, with just that situation where it's a tie game. Got a left-handed hitter. You're new in the league. You got to be really careful. I mean, fastballs were only away off the plate.
And he said he was trying to go low and away.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, you make mistakes, and those hitters, they don't miss them.
And he looked so good against the first 2 batters to get them out. Brooks was on the attack, got Beltre and Odor, 2 tough hitters to pop up. Moreland got him. And he got that one. That's Sagana.
Yep, anything inside, especially with a little wrinkle on it, it's going to give him time to get that bat head out there. Let's see, this looked like a breaking ball again. It looked like a little slider. And you see now his leg kick, he doesn't have a huge load, and you don't have to have a load. You know, you don't really need that whole big leg kick. He just kind of picks his foot up and sets it down, and he's able to hook the pole. Good balance.
4-1 Texas. They've now belted 13 home runs in their 7 games against Kansas City this year. Ryan Rua, the batter, reached on a bunt single his first time up.
That slider was just down and in enough to where Moreland could put 2 more runs on the board.
2 outs.
The catcher, Robinson Chirinos.
Robinson Chirino hit into a 1-4-3 double play in the 2nd inning. So 2 for his last 20. Now batting under 200. Chirino swings and misses. Count is even 2-2. He does have a long swing. G has struck out 3 so far today. And he strikes out Robinson Chirinos. Ball in the dirt. Drew throws on to first, but a 2-run home run by Mitch Moreland has given Texas a 4-1 lead over the Royals. Texas, the Rangers with a 2-run home run in the first and a 2-run home run in the fourth. Here's our Panera around the league. Albert Pujols, one of 4 players ever with 20 or more home runs in 15 of his first 16 years. The Red Sox have stumbled into 3rd place in the American League East, and I thought that Matt Kemp trade was rather interesting, but apparently money was the deal, where they were able to move some money around. And, Braves getting a veteran.
Yeah, you know, that's the side of the business that some of us baseball people don't know anything about. Finances, how to add up the numbers, what looks good for next year and this year, what's good compared to them, how much money you're going to give us, all those things. Drew got a hold of that. Get up.
Sure did, and he gets it out. Drew Butera with his 3rd home run of the year.
It sounded good off the bat. Nice. There you go, Drew. 3rd big fly of the season. Nice job. Way to shoot one out of the yard. Now just snuck over the wall there, but with a 390-foot mark, 14-foot high wall, had enough on it. When I saw Rua's back, I thought, oh man, he's going to get him one. Another one. Good carry on that baseball for him.
They were waiting for Salvi in the hair flip.
I don't think they're in the celebrating hair flipping mood right now.
I
think
I agree. They're
down.
Lost 3 straight and 7 of their last 8. But you know what, Hud, you still have to play with joy. That's one of the great things about this game.
Yeah, but 110-degree heat will zap the joy right out of you.
Dyson now the batter. So we've seen 4 home runs in this game, 2 solos by the Royals and 2 2-run shots by Texas. Well, this indeed is a good start for the Royals. A home run followed by a walk. There's a little hair flip right there for Salvi.
Yeah,
just game 1. Come on.
That's what Salvi's asking about. He's saying the same thing you were. Come on, man. Where's the love? Where's the joy? But right there, a good easy swing. He wasn't trying to hit a homer, but look where the pitch was. He saw him up, and finally a Royal got one that was above the belt. Nice swing, easy. When you just have that easy swing and you meet it just right, that's a beautiful feel, which you barely do feel, by the way.
I'm really expecting Dyson to go early in the count.
That high home shot of that homer scraping the back of the wall there, it's a beautiful thing.
4-2. Keep the pressure on. Gordon stole 3rd early in this game. Dyson doesn't go, and boy, he has a huge lead over there.
There you go. 12 of those 21 hits this season are extra base hits.
9 doubles ties him for the most he's had in one season. Did that with the Twins. And out comes the pitching coach for Texas. I mean, he was very quick home on that last pitch to Jarrod Dyson, but Dyson with an absolutely huge lead at first base. And the Royals need to go because they have hit into a lot of double plays, and no team in baseball has turned more double plays than Texas. They have a lot of sinker ball pitchers on their staff. Fans, you can vote for the Royals Player of the Month at one of the 7 Rally House locations in the Kansas City metro area. All participants will be entered to win a majestic prize pack. Count 2-0. Dyson doesn't go. You know what? Even with a slot good, if the guy's 1-2 to home plate, Dyson can still beat it.
Yeah, but they're down. There's nobody out. Down 2 runs. There's no urgency to steal. I know you want him to go.
He does not. And Mondesi was showing bunt. Pulls it back in time for a 3-1 count. Well, that's what he's so good at.
The situation got to be right. Rusty Kuntz, he controls the running game. He'll let him know if he wants him to go. He's trying to buy a fastball for Mondesi. Threw him an off-speed pitch there. Harold's pitches again. Fastball cut, fastball curve, and a change. Looks like he's going to his secondary pitches now. Just the last hitter Mondesi is, second time through the order.
Dyson with 14 steals. And they chase him back again. Raul became the first Royal ever to get his first major league hit on his birthday. Turned 21, got a couple of bunt hits, led the Royals to a victory. Dyson does go, and the pitch is swung on and missed, and Girard is safe.
Mondesi struck out. Dyson got a good jump. He's able to get into second base. Save the strike him out, throw him out, but he beat it by plenty.
Now Escobar, the batter, he's popped up and grounded out into a 5-4-3 double play.
Lucas Harold hadn't been too impressive as far as balls and strike ratio goes, but he does have a lead. His offense put him there.
It would have been a close play had Odor held on to the baseball.
A little bit too quick there with the tag. I don't think he would have got it.
Yeah, they're already into that Texas bullpen. He has thrown a ton of pitches and trying to get just the second out of this fifth inning. Royals again in this series with only one hit with runners in scoring position. That was their strength last year in their World Championship season. Dyson goes, pitch taken, and Chirinos can't hold on, so Girard with two strikeouts. Now he's at third base. A strike was called on Escobar, and the count is now 3-1. Royals had this similar situation in the second, but could not score when Butera hit a ground ball to second base in a drawn in field, and Dyson grounded out.
Yep, too good a jump. Chirinos wouldn't have gotten him.
16 steals now for Dice. he can be of such value. And there's a blooper down to right field. That's a base hit. Dyson will score easily, and the Royals within 1.
That's how you go with the pitch. Didn't want to challenge Escobar, but he tried to nibble on the outside part of the plate, and Esky made him pay. Yeah, that ball's 2 or 3 inches off outside part of the plate. Just reached out there with his long arms and put it in play. Dyson would have scored either way, whether he's stolen third or not.
Now Cheslor Cuthbert, who was grounded out and walked. The Royals have stolen 3 bases today, 1 by Gordon, 2 by Dyson. Royals at 3 runs. Cuthbert to right field, stays up for Mazara, 2 out. The Royals have been hanging on 3 or under most of July. 17 times this month. Kansas City has scored 3 runs or less. How about Eric Hosmer? Change that right now. Hosmer hit an opposite field home run his first time up. Struck out swinging last at bat. Ball 1. Harrell had a 3.38 ERA in 5 starts with Atlanta. Just does graze the outside corner.
Take that breaking ball to the opposite field here.
Pulls it to the right side, fielded by Moreland. It will come back to the bag, but the Royals get 2. One in the home run by Butera, and the other on Dyson Speed. 2 steals.
Make something happen. That away.
Esky's hit. 4-1. They've cut it to 4-3. Butera went deep. Mazara and Moreland have both hit home runs. The other run scored on Eric Hosmer's first inning blast. Now G trying to keep it right here at 4-3 as he works the 5th inning. Hanser Alberto, the batter. Hanser now 6 for 38 this year, and Cuthbert will get there, cut it off. And Alberto, you are now 6 for 39 this year.
Yep. That's just not good hitting. You hit it over there to Cuthbert like that. He's got great range. He cuts the ball off in front of Escobar. Loves it. Folks, nothing goes better with summer than fireworks in Royals baseball on Friday night in Kansas City. Summer Fireworks is presented by Hy-Vee and Pepsi. It takes place after every Friday night home game this season through August. There's only 2 summer fireworks left. So visit Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS today to get your tickets and to the next show out at the Cave. I can't believe there's only 2 more left.
And one of them is this Friday when the Blue Jays are in town.
Where
the
has
team the Royals met in the ALCS last year.
This season has just flown by. Oh. Get those kids out to the Cave before school starts, and then in September, bring them again anyway.
This is game number 104. That ball is lined sharply to left field for a hit. Second time that DeShields has been on.
Right fielder, Nomar Mazara.
So 1 on 1 out for Mazara, who is homered and popped up.
Check out Mazara's home run in the 1st inning. Watch how he adjusts that. That curveball, and he just brings that right foot back even with his left foot. It starts outside of that batter's box. His eyes picked that up. There was a hanger, stayed short to the ball. This kid knows what he's doing.
He's 21 years of age.
But when that light goes on inside of your head at this level at that age, and you're saying, I know I can play here, watch out, you got something. That's how a young prospect makes it here. You get here, even though you're young, it doesn't matter. But you have some sustained success. You're on it. You got confidence, and you believe you belong.
We chronicled 2 of those guys in the Royals and are open with the way Cuthbert has played in his rookie season, and now Raul Mondesi being called up. See Mazara hit one right at Mondi. Escobar's almost standing on second base. Runner went, but time had been called when DeShields went.
Wow, if that was Mazara that called time, oh man, that's a mistake, because DeShields had a huge jump.
He does not go, and the pitch is high and outside. They chase Delino back. Dad, an excellent speedster in his 13 years in the big leagues. Montreal, the Dodgers, and others. He does not go, and the pitch is pulled to Hosmer. They go second, 1, first base, double play.
Oh, how beautifully turned was that? Hos, nice soft hands. Quickly gets it over there to Escobar. Yeah, little 3-6-3 right back at you. That'll work. Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. You got to be tough here in Texas, that's for sure, especially when you don't bring your glove. And pa-ching! And I can't believe how many ballparks Uncle Fester attends, because we've seen him take a few balls, but he's okay. That's the good thing.
It looked like his son was right next to him texting all of the family members. Dad's still alive. Morales pulls it to the right side. Odor throws him out from shallow right field. Well, this is our 6th inning, and it's our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Thomas Wilson Jr. from Grain Valley, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Thomas, you get $200. But if the Royals hit a grand slam, Thomas will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Royals. Well, the medical team was there very quickly.
Ah, you know, the sun probably got in his eyes.
He's got a smile on his face.
Yeah.
Alex 1 for 2, singled, advanced to second in a sacrifice, and stole third, but was left stranded.
You know, last night, same thing happened. Folks, if you're going to come to the ball game and you're going to sit somewhere from the front row without a net, please bring your glove. At least you have some form of defense.
Alex pops it up into center field. Moving over is Delino DeShields into left center and makes the catch for out number 2.
Because there's been a few Ranger fans that getting hit in the noggin here, and unfortunately they've got hard noggins.
Look at that.
I mean, barely even a scratch.
No, that's going to be a goosebump. Barnett warming in the Texas bullpen. Rangers bullpen has been very solid against Kansas City this year, and here is Paulo Orlando. Paulo dropped a bunt his first time up, barely thrown out, as Alberto's throw got him by a half step. 93 pitches thrown by Lucas Harrell, trying to get a quality start. Turned it over to the pen. Popped him up. Mazzara takes care of it. It's a 1-2-3 inning the first clean inning for Lucas Harrell today. Two games, but they have played well in the last week and now have a 5.5 game lead over Houston as the Astros lost today to the Cleveland Indians. And here is Texas, a Major League best 23-7 record in one-run games. That's our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard, and they have won 2 games by 1 run in this series, 3-2 on Thursday and 2-1 last night, spurred by home runs both times by Mitch Moreland. His 8th inning blast won Thursday and last night. Now it's Profar, 0 for 2. Jurickson just glad to be healthy. That shoulder problem that limited both 2014 and 15, and now he whistles one foul. G's longest outing this year, 5 1/3 innings. That was against the Atlanta Braves, and also out of the bullpen 5 1/3 innings against the Cleveland Indians back on July 19th. He's allowed 2 2-run home runs to Mazara in the first, Moreland in the 4th. That's ball 4. First walk issued by G. Dave Island on the phone to the bullpen. And we need to tell you that with Wade Davis on the disabled list, Matt Strahm was called up from AA Northwest Arkansas. He's one of the Royals' top left-handed prospects. He has a little Kansas roots, playing his college baseball at Neosho County Community College. Beltre. It's out of play.
That's what they need, you know. This young man throws hard, got a big fastball, left-handed. You know, with every injury that happens, you know, you got to have somebody come up and replace him. It's always exciting to see a young guy who's worthy.
We had a chance to see Matt in spring training. Really liked what we saw. Great poise, good stuff, good command too.
Maybe we'll get to see him.
424 third time through.
Yeah, typically, you know, this is the way it is. When you've seen a pitcher now for your third time, you're gauged on his pitches, and that's why pitchers try to reserve at least one of their pitches to show you third time through. Something new you haven't seen. There you go.
Excellent. Mondesi completes that double play, started nicely by Dylan G. So he has gone his longest this year, 5 2/3 innings. And getting those 2 outs, they may have gone to a lefty. If Dylan doesn't get him, but he does. And so Dylan stays in the game to face the lefty Odor. Rougned, bunt single first time up, struck out swinging last time up. And he chases an off-speed pitch for strike 1. 21 home runs and 20 have come playing second base. That's second most to Robinson Cano of Seattle, who has hit 21 playing second. Foul back. 0-2.
Well, he's just got a short, compact stroke. And another kid like Mazara that believes in himself and says, yeah, that's right, this is my league. And that's the mentality you want. It may sound a little arrogant or cocky, but look, that's just how you got to play up here. You got to have that extra man of confidence with you. And these guys have it.
Pulls it to the right side. Mondesi there. Nice job by Dylan G. Keeps the club in the game through 6 innings, his longest outing of the year. Texas still leads by 1. Brought to you by your local Kansas City area Chevy dealers. Visit us for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. By Panera Bread, food as it should be with 24 Kansas City metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price, every day. Dylan G. Excellent job this afternoon getting that sinking fastball working. 9 groundouts and 3 double plays have really snuffed out some Texas rallies. And here's Tony Barnett, a guy you have something in common with.
Well, you know, this young man had the opportunity to pitch in the Japanese league for the same team I got to play for, the Swallows. Same team that Nori Aoki played for. And he's got 6 years with them.
And he is our Chevy call to the bullpen.
Yeah. Anthony Barnett, 32-year-old rookie. 6 years over there in Japan. And he learned a lot, like any of us that play over there. Fastball, slider, change, split finger, sinker, cutter. He's got all kinds of pitches that he developed over there.
And it looks like he hides the ball pretty well.
And over there, it's about the art of pitching. See how he's hiding it behind him.
Butera goes to center field. It stays up for DeShields.
Good swing by Drew. He's still on the ball.
Center fielders Ron Dyson.
The art of pitching, and that's what that is. Over there to them, it's about deception, deceiving the hitter, throwing off his timing. And we've noticed all of the Japanese-born pitchers that we see all have some sort of diversion, some sort of pause in their delivery to disrupt the timing.
Texas certainly has one of the better pitchers in the history of Japanese baseball in Yu Darvish, who was a great star over there and now one of the top pitchers for the Rangers, right behind Cole Hamels. Hit sharply to center, but again DeShields is there. So 2 lineouts, one by Butera, one by Dyson. Matt Strahm warming down in the Kansas City bullpen. You'll have Mitch Moreland, the lefty, coming up to start things. Raul has been on once, reaching on the air by Moreland, striking out last time up when Dyson stole second base. Raul known more for his speed. His dad was known for his power. And Raul was the 1994 National League Rookie of the Year. And even though he really looks thin now, I mean, 2 years ago when Raul was 19 years of age, 18 down in spring training because he just turned 21 lately. Boy, he was really skinny, but you could tell he's going to blossom. He grounds out here, and Barnett does a nice job in the 7th inning. 1-2-3. We'll see the major league debut of Fargo, North Dakota's Matt Strahm. Texas.
All right, let's check him out. Long ball, Haas early. Wasn't sure if he was able to keep it fair, but he did. He sliced the fair pole. It was a beautiful thing. And Mazara got the hanging breaking ball. Yeah, put that 10 rows deep. That gave him 2 more. And then 4th inning, Moreland again. He's hot. Drew Butera checked in with his 3rd. That was nice to see him. Good little easy swing. Snuck it over the wall over that 390 mark.
And now, of course, we'll see the major league debut of Matt Strahm, 3-8 with a 3.43 earned run average in 102 and a third innings down at Northwest Arkansas. He hails from West Fargo, North Dakota, but also played college baseball at Neosho County Community College, helping them to the National Junior College Championship. That was in 2012. And, well, we have the time. Joel's joined us.
Well, he was with Northwest Arkansas in Springfield, Missouri last night, and then found out that he was heading here, flew in this morning, and a kid that used to be 6 foot, 150 pounds, is set to make his major league debut, and felt like he got to know some of the guys in Surprise back in February and March.
Being around these guys in spring was great. They're all very welcoming, and I mean, it was just like first day of spring walking here. I guess is kind of what it felt like, just a little bigger situation. But I mean, yeah, the nerves are running, but I mean, it'll all calm down.
And he came sprinting out and then stopped dead in his tracks because God Bless America was about to be sung. Now he is ready to go. 107 strikeouts in 102 and a third innings pitched this season in the minors. His family, he said, should be in Tampa for the next series.
And Joel, he's a guy who as a starter was in the low 90s, but when they put him in the bullpen, he touched 97 with his fastball.
Yep. Might be a little nervous right now, but you know what? Just get through these first few hitters here and execute.
Yeah, all he has to do is face the hottest hitter in the Texas lineup in Mitch Moreland.
So it has a chance to make him look good.
And he lines a single to center field.
He's got a nice complimentary slider and a changeup that he'll throw to righties.
The Royals defense has turned 3 double plays this afternoon. How about one more right here with Ryan Rua coming up? He's batting from the right side. Reached on the bunt single his first time up. Moreland now 10 for his last 18 with 5 home runs. He's at first base. Bunt try, strike one. One thing that Ned Yost noticed about Strahm in spring training was his poise, his confidence. Didn't seem rattled.
Yeah, and you know that's an impressive thing. When you get an opportunity in spring training, even though it's very low key and very relaxed, players are all trying to just get into shape and get ready for the season. That's an eye opener for a lot of young players to be able to impress the brass. The management. So it's important that these players come in shape in mid-season form in spring training so that they can be at the top of their game and perform at that level to impress for later. Getting that call up whenever you can get it. And the fact that there are several other major league teams that are covering spring training. And I was in the office with you today, and Ned was impressed with the kid's poise. He wasn't all wide-eyed and wasn't all nervous, and that's one of the reasons why he brought him up here now. Stuff plays. If, you know, you've got low to mid 90s and you're a lefty and you've got a good breaking ball, you're going to get here.
Well, there is his first major league strikeout, Ryan Rua. Matt Strahm, way to go. Get that baseball.
He just threw it right by him. 94, very smooth delivery. I like it. Look at that. It's got some life on it.
Missed all of the 2013 season because he had Tommy John surgery. He's come back very well. Last year pitched at low A and high A in Lexington and Wilmington. It gets away from Drew, and that will move Moreland into scoring position. A breaking ball. Wild pitch.
Let's check him out here in motion. Gonna load up those hips a lot like a hitter does. We see him bring his leg all the way up, separate the hands right above the rubber. Good balance, good over the top.
Moreland led the inning off with a single up the middle. Now has advanced to second base with 1 out on a wild pitch. Chirinos 0 for 2. In there, 1 and 2. Oh, didn't miss by much.
.6'4", 185 pounds. It's a good height. Guess he took a little bit off of that breaking ball there.
Matt Strom ready with a 2-2 pitch to Robinson Chirinos, and foul back. Royals will have the top of the order coming up in the 8th inning. Escobar, Cuthbert, and Hosmer. Now full count at 3-2.
You can rush that fastball up there. Gets on you quickly. Baseball America Prospect Handbook rated Strom as the 8th best prospect in the Royals organization this spring.
Well, I remember having a conversation with one of our top guys, Rene Francisco, about the left-handers in the Royals organization. And this was last year, and Rene goes, Fizz, I want you to keep your eyes on Matt Strom. Right now he's at Wilmington, and Rene has always liked this kid, and Ned fell in love with him at spring training, so he's got a good future as a starting pitcher in the Royals rotation. He's 24 years of age. Just does miss outside. So 2 on with 1 out. Hanser Alberto. And Ned Yost maybe making a change. Bring in a right-hander. And he has made the call. Peter Moylan will come on, looking to get a double play. Well, Matt, you got your first big league strikeout. Giants leading 4-3. It's time for a Northtown Mazda game break. We head to the Tampa St. Pete area. The Rays are there. And the Rays have been playing some pretty good baseball. They've won 4 straight after beating the Yankees today. Excellent pitching matchup tomorrow night. Duffy against Archer. And the Rays 8-5 in their last 13 games after the franchise's worst 3-24 stretch.
Yep.
Great pitching since the break.
Better believe it. It'll be an interesting 4-game series again. Hopefully better than this one has been.
Well, Duffy, Archer tomorrow night. Ventura, Moore on Tuesday. Volquez, Odorizzi on Wednesday. And then Kennedy, Smiley on Thursday. Down the line. Darn it. And in comes a run. And moving to third base will be Robinson Chirinos. Safe at second. It's Hanser Alberto. So Strom is charged with the run. More importantly, Texas now has a 2-run lead.
Have just caught too much to the plate. He wanted it in, stayed up, and you know, with Alberto getting maybe 1 start every 2 weeks, not even, you know, he's making the most of it there. Big hit and an RBI for him.
And that ball just by Chester Cuthbert. Now second and third with still just 1 out. DeShields the batter, and he's 2 for 3. And he gets hit by a pitch. Ned is without 2 of his top stars in that bullpen with Wade Davis and Luke Hochevar both on the disabled list. We've got a left-hander coming on for KC with the Royals trailing 5-3. We'll see Brian Flynn when we come back. You play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Buy Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs, and buy your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit us at yourmidwestforddealers.com. Some Longhorns coming down Main Street.
How about that? Watch out.
You know, they're impressive looking creatures, but I hear it's not good steak. I hear it's pretty tough.
I wouldn't know that much about that. It's a good looking animal.
Yeah, they say the best way to cook it is to throw the steak in a pot of water and boil it up.
Okay.
And then what you do, Hud, is throw a horseshoe in after an hour.
Oh,
And when the horseshoe is limp, that means the steak is done.
that might be about a week for that to happen. How about a nice little 4-6-3?
Roll them up. How about that? Comes home.
How about
a 1, 2, and a 3.
A 1, 2,
Oh,
3.
Liberace.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Flynn, nice job.
You got that right.
Way to
A
get out of
1
it.
and a 2 and a 3. Strike up the band.
Lawrence Welk.
Lawrence Welk, excuse me. In the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Tonight's game, or today's game, a lot of action on the ground. The Royals, they'll take all these double plays, saves the pitch count, and also keeps that game moving on. Osborne, nice little 3-6-3. Started. G was able to help himself. Good throw to Mondesi. Mondesi looking very comfortable at second base, by the way. And right there, how about the 1-2-3? They'll take them. Just got to get some runs.
Season high 4 double plays today. Escobar to start things. The Royals trailing by 2, 5-3. But they avoided a big Texas inning. Keone Kela, well, he's been sharp. Good arm. He and Matt Bush have really done a good job in late innings. Bush was hitting 98 miles an hour last night. Kela can get to mid to upper 90s. A lot of strikeouts.
Got a little nice power curve and changeup.
Escobar hits it right back to the mound. 1 out.
And the comebackers today.
Time for our sprint trivia question and answer, and it's about defensive third baseman. Name the 4 players with more American League Gold Gloves than Adrian Beltre's 4 at third base. Well, right at the very top is Baltimore's Brooks Robinson.
Okay, I threw in Eric Chavez.
And I threw in Buddy Bell.
Okay.
There's one more.
How about Wade Boggs?
I don't think so. I thought it might have been A-Rod when he moved from short to third base.
Robin Ventura.
That's a good guess.
He played some National League ball too.
Yeah. Did a good job with the White Sox. And Robin is the answer.
Hey, there you go.
Brooks with 16.
Now
Gold Gloves.
that's not Adrian Beltre right there, but he wishes he could play like him. We all wish we could play like him. Future Hall of Famer getting a chance to DH today.
Yeah, Beltre as good as I've ever seen at Fielding bunts barehanded, throwing off balance.
As good as they come.
Cuthbert 0 for 2 with a walk. Strike in there. Now it's time for a Northtown Mazda game break. Detroit staying in it. That was McCann with a grand slam as the Tigers just blow out Houston 11-0. Cleveland blasted Oakland. And Jake Diekman is going to come in to face the left-hander Eric Hosmer. We'll be right back.
Haas stepping in. Have a classic car that you want to show off at the K? Come out to the ballpark on Sunday, August 21st for our Cruise to the K Classic Car Show. Cars will be on display throughout the day in the Royals parking lot for all to see. The $45 ticket package will include one vehicle entered into the car show, 2 game tickets, a parking pass, a dash plaque, and a commemorative t-shirt. Order your ticket package today at Royals.com/car show.
Well, they've got some beauties in that show last year, and we're see some beauties again this year. With 2 out, Hosmer the batter facing the lefty Diekman out of Wymore, Nebraska. Hosmer pulls it to the right side. Odor. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Texas leads it 5-3. And it's all about going deep.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's the Rangers homers again that are hurting the Royals. Lazar, he wound up, and he hit his 15th. Moreland hit his 18th.
Now a local guy in Chris Young, who graduated from nearby Highland Park High School, with letters in baseball and basketball. Went on to Princeton to become a star there in both sports. Played a little bit for the Texas Rangers, and a world champion with the Royals last year. He was with Texas to start his career in 2001. Actually drafted by Pittsburgh and then went on to Montreal, but broke into the big leagues with Texas back in 2004. Young facing the middle of the order: Jurickson Profar, Adrian Beltre, Rougned Odor. 1 out. He was all-state in both sports as a senior.
Chris Young, fastball, slider, 88 max. Had some issues earlier this year, not keeping that ball in the ballpark. Had a little bit of forearm strain early. Recovered from that. Sent him out to the bullpen with his strikeouts, as good as they've been. Chris Young coming in has 72 strikeouts in 67 in the third innings. That's a guy that you can use in the bullpen, and so far it hasn't worked out for him.
Beltre with a mighty swing, misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Royals 4-11 since the All-Star break. In the top of the 9th inning, they'll have Morales, Gordon, and Orlando coming up. They do have 2 weapons off the bench in Salvador Perez and Lorenzo Cain. To right field, Orlando got that great speed and is able to run it down. Beltre hit it pretty far with a broken bat.
He sure did. He reached out, hit it over 300 feet. Good legs by Paulo's, able to get to that with no problem. Robin Beltre. You know, I talked about Beltre. He's only made 6 years, third base this year, future Hall of Famer. He has his 2nd best fielding percentage at third baseman in the league.
Now Odor taking strike 1. And strike 2. Their closer Sam Dyson warming up in the bullpen. There have been rumors that Texas looking for help in their bullpen. I mean, once you get to postseason, it becomes a premium, as we've seen with the Royals' success the last couple of years. And a swing and a miss by Odor. We head to the 9th inning. Royals need 2 to tie, 3 for the lead. Young. Now the 9th inning will come up, and the Royals are hoping they'll have success with our Honda Most Trusted player, with Danny Duffy. He's been spectacular his last 6 games, going 4-0. The Royals have not lost one of those.
No, it's good to see Duffy get out there, and especially indoors. It's always hot there in St. Petersburg. They'll be indoors and watch Danny Duffy hopefully fill up that strike zone with those wonderful pitches of his, and we'll score enough runs to win.
Well, the Royals have really pitched pretty well as starting pitching goes in this series. I mean, certainly Yordano Ventura with a complete game, only allowed 3 runs in game 1, but lost 3-2. And Ian Kennedy was as good as we've seen. 7 innings, 1 run, no decision though last night. And the culprit really has been offense in this series. Lack of it. Ground ball right side, Odor. Morales is the first man out. Dyson converted his 5th straight save chance on Thursday in the winner of the Royals, and he's allowed runs in just 1 of 9 games in July. Gordon the batter. Alex has singled, flied out, popped up. Dyson falling behind. Pretty well left field, but right there is Rua, and he'll make the catch for the 2nd out. A reminder, Joel and Monty will be along after the ball game for the Boulevard Royals Live. That's coming up next. Well, these Texas Rangers know what it's like to win and then not have success. They averaged 93 wins the previous 3 years before 2014. Then a lot of injuries, and they fell to 67 wins. But last year they became just the 5th team in Major League history to go from last place to first place. Last in the West to first in the West.
Well, their fans are all geeked up here, that's for sure. Another 32,806 at Globe Life.
You saw Salvador Perez on deck. Orlando needs to get on to bring Salvi up, who would represent the tying run. Orlando had that long home run on Thursday. In there. 1-2. Texas completes the 4-game sweep of Kansas City. Mazara with a home run.
That's the first time they've been swept by the Rangers since 2010 4-game series.
Moreland hit a home run, and Dyson with his 22nd save. We'll be right back.